it is great to have a person that understands the way you're thinking, and especially someone who's on the same level that's working with you at Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, at the pinnacle of like the top of the top. And to have someone who is this one as my wife and partner in life and the mother of my son, to have someone like that is so brilliant and be able to walk the path with Linda, from when we were kids. It's really something that it's a blessing.
Glenn and Linda, thank you so much for taking the time out to chat with me. So for those who don't know, you were both company members at Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, and you guys toured together for over 20 years before stepping away in 2020 to focus on your family. So let's take it back to 1997 and just tell us what sparked your interest in one another.
I think Glenn should go first because my spark happened not
I think you're
after
probably
his
right.
spark
After
happened.
my spark happened.
So
it was really my first day working at Ailey, honestly. 1997, Linda was already there for a year. She was the quiet person that sat in the opposite corner of me being quiet and then another corner and just observing the room. And I did that whole, after the first day, way back when, when we were young, we had a break room inside the old 211 building at West 61st Street. We had a conversation about who's friends, that we knew each other and stuff like that during the break room. Dudley Williams, who's one of the names from the Ailey company, who's been a longtime member, who passed away, was there with us in the break room. Well, break room was actually by the washing machine for wardrobe. And we talked about all these different things, like, this is my friend, your friend, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, she's walking out. She had just left Ballet Hispanico doing point work. She had these calves that were just like, Linda's really petite, but she had the most meatiest calves ever that I've ever seen. And so when she was leaving the studio, I was shortly behind her, and I ran up the street. Hey, are you going towards 59th Street? You going to Columbus Circle? And she was like, no, I'm going to the end of the R, because she lived in the Bronx. And I was like, well, can I walk with you? And that's how it started, just like that. Can I walk with you? But she really did have those calves.
Well, what's interesting is that, Glenn is from Jersey, but every summer program he was attending the Ailey School. So a lot of those kids that went to the summer program were in my high school, LaGuardia Performing Arts. So though we never met, we have a plethora of friends that we share. And it's funny because I call them my best friends, and he's like, no, they aren't my best friends. So, he went to Juilliard. A lot of them went to Juilliard afterwards. But that was the beginning of how we started sort of talking to each other, but not that I had any kind of love interest. I was not interested in Glenn at all. But, I guess he was fascinated with my calves. I don't know. I guess. But, what was interesting, for me, it was, we were traveling on tour, and I remember going out to a salsa club with, most of the dancers. We would go, they would have live bands, and it would be great. It was a beautiful experience to, be overseas and, listening to these amazing bands playing salsa. And it wasn't until that moment, so we're talking about already a couple of months into the company, after Glenn arrived, that we started dancing. And now he's tapping into my roots. And so this is when I was like, okay, if you can hang with my music, then there is something in there that I might like.
That I actually could.
So he could dance. He could dance salsa and merengue. And yes, Jasmine, that was my spark. My husband, future husband, knew how to dance salsa and merengue. So that's what turned me on. Yeah.
What would you say y'all love most about having a partner that shares the same passion and love for dance?
Is being able to have that unspoken language in a way that, you have this deep connection. I find it, that when we're on stage together, or even in rehearsal, let's just talk about rehearsal, there's this love and care about what you're doing and a way of expressing. I had dated a person that was not a dancer, and it's they don't know what you really go through. They don't know the emotional daily stress and how much important it is for you on your time off to still take care of your instrument. This is your instrument, you know. And we used to also, even when we were friends, our dates were going to take ballet class at, you know, Joffrey School or Steps or here. That was our thing, and just that, not like even going out to eat. It was dancing. It was we shared this thing, and I don't know if you know about it, but whenever we were in the dance studio, it was inspiring to see Glenn move, to see this big, broad muscle type, not small, petite, and limber, but he had this flexibility and like grace and like, I don't know, elegance to your port de bras that I was just like, I've got to work on my port de bras. You know, it's just it was this common thing that we kind of like inspired each other, you know, and it's just like the unspoken communication that we know we have.
And it's great to have that as well. I think, as an artist, we are slightly,
Special.
there's a thing inside like that's always it's slightly like it's different than everyone else. Like, it is great to have a person that understands the way you're thinking, and especially someone who's on the same level that's working with you at Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, at the pinnacle of like the top of the top. And to have someone who is this one
Exactly.
as my wife and partner in life and the mother of my son, to have someone like that is so brilliant and be able to walk the path with Linda, from when we were kids. It's really something that it's a blessing to find that person that actually understands when you're slightly crazy as an artist and you need that time out for your artistry, and need that space for yourself to do whatever you might need to do. But yet I was also encouraged through her discipline. It really is one of those moments where you find that person that is really on the same page with you. And it's really hard to find that in life. Like, yes, we got married at a young age, but there was a moment when I was like 24 and I was like, I don't want to go through another relationship and like, I like my toothpaste like this. I was
And
like, I'm good here. Like, do you want to spend the
I,
rest of your life with me?
yeah, I joined at 19, so by the time Glenn was there, you know, I just turned 20. I'm a baby, you know, and then navigating this life that we call, you know, career, you know, at Ailey, this professional life is huge. And back then it was difficult. We would learn like 7 ballets in a week. I mean, we're under Drew the Jamison, you know, excellence was the top, you know, was every day. Even if you didn't feel like being excellent, you always gave some sort of excellence. And we never, you know, lowered the bar.
What would you guys say y'all love most about your partner's style of dance and the way they just perform?
I think Glenn has this beautiful way of finding calmness and breath and elegance in his movement. And as for me, I find that, you know, when I've danced with many other partners, it's not easy to find that quality where it's beautiful, like, you know, and there's a fluidity in the way that he moves, but the ease of it is what I find to be like really inspiring, because men are usually a little bit more, you know, tougher or quicker or, you know, sharper with movements. But Glenn has this way of taking the time to beautifying every part of that movement, like, and enjoying it as well, you know.
Linda, what I will say is that Linda
I love a
can
dark
do
shoes
anything.
though. Me
She can
too.
do anything. And watching this woman perform for many years in different arenas, in her scope and spectrum that she's able to do, has always been inspirational. Everything that she does, she conquers it. Like, she's a powerhouse. I felt a void when she was out on maternity leave and I was back at the company by myself. And that's when I knew that, like, my friend's not here, you know, because the other dancers are inspiring. However, the person that would sit with me in the, like, not even the corner, by that time we moved ourselves to the center of the room to where we could still see the front or whatever. But the person on my left, on my right, was not there any longer. And I felt alone in that space. because every single day for 20 something years, I watched another person in that space that I admired the most. And so when I had the chance to start dancing with her, it was like, oh.
We watch each
If I
other
could do the
grow.
Cynthia Erivo.
Oh my goodness. We watched each other grow. Wings in the
But
studio.
she has that. She can do anything. She can do anything from Afro Caribbean to like ballet. She can get into a jazz piece. Like she gets into like the nitty gritty of like dance. And for me, that has been really inspirational because there's very few dancers who can actually really get into it and get into the work and understand it and still be able to tell a story and reach the audience. Oftentimes, like you can go to a performance and you don't feel like you've been moved by what you're seeing. But this woman has been able to do that for me, someone that's actually sharing a space with her. And yeah, I'll stop there because I can keep going on.
And I know you guys celebrated your 24th anniversary. Congratulations. What would you say is the key to longevity in a relationship?
We actually talked about it the other day, and Glenn was saying communication. And I do believe it is a lot of communication, but I also believe heavily it's forgiveness. You have to let go sometimes, and being, you're in this path together. Not every day you're going to be the same. Not every year in your life you're going to be, So imagine working together, traveling together, not really having much of our own time on our own. Um, and a lot of it is like the resilience in the relationship. And every relationship is different, but the communication of growing and trusting each other that you're gonna do what you both need each other to do. There's so many times like Glenn, you can't do that, da, 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 Lena, da, 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 and that conversation, that communication is important. And it does take time to sometimes, get to that point that the other person needs you to be at. And we're growing in different levels. They
Mm.
say men are this way, women are a little bit, so as we become adults and young adults, it's still learning about who you are. So for me, I'm grateful that he was patient enough, you right, to wait for me to get to the point to become the woman that I'm going to become. And it's still a
And
grow. It's
it's
still
a reciprocal the same way too. Like
I'm still growing.
thank you for being patient enough to
you
be
know,
for me to become the man that I am. And I really believe, not to cut you off, but I think it is really respecting the other person in the relationship,
and
like
where they are at
and
that
where they're at
point.
that moment. It's respecting like that person's path. We might be on the same trail together as a partnership, as a couple, as a married couple, but there's moments where we are both individuals within that relationship and respecting each other's needs. It really is about like what is a need that Linda might need today. How can I support her being the mother of our son and everything else that she's doing? How can I support her in that space and then still support her as my friend?
I say always forgiveness, because it's you can't hold all that. You get mad, and then you're holding and bottling it all in, and then at one point, I'm done with you. It's like, have you given each other some grace? And you're not perfect. I'm not perfect, Linda. I have my flaws. Just remember that there's more good things than the flaws, not
Mm.
always looking at the flaws, because we all have them. We all have them. And then it's, right now with Ellington, it was interesting because he's like the third element in our relationship. And it's like, that was like a shocker. Like, oh, wait, we don't have all the time that we usually have together anymore. So it was balancing that out too. But it's beautiful how, with I think with COVID gave us some time alone to understand what that is. But now, as teaching and working, it's also like, okay, well, you got Tuesday, Wednesday, we got da, 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 because now we have a child that we have to bring up, and we're not gonna leave him alone. Like, we are there every
He is
single
he's
moment
barely
of
with
his
when people are
life.
like, oh, how do you
Yeah,
guys do it?
we
You
we're
know,
yeah,
we're there.
we're there all the time. I
Like
think
he
it's
doesn't
important
he
because,
has not had a babysitter if it's not a family member.
yeah, we
Yeah.
really try to
We
keep
keep
it.
trying to like introduce like, oh, we're gonna get this person. Like we don't really. But
We really are there for every part of his life. I know, sometimes people who are, dancers and have children, they have to, separate, and each family has to do what they need to do for their family, but we knew, and I knew that if I was going to have a child, I wanted to be part of that, his life always, like, so. And he was in my belly when I was on stage. I danced till about 5 months pregnant. Our last tour was a beautiful tour. We went to Greece, Paris, and like Copenhagen. And he's a musician. Like, people formed with us on stage, and I would tell Glenn, it's the three of us dancing. It's not just the two. And I rehearsed the company while I was starting to get a little bit bigger, and I taught with him wrapped around in those fancy wraparounds that they have now. And he's been part of our life, in the studio life, on stage life. He's one with us.